Prakash, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
You made a long flight back from Boston last night, so excited, glad that you could join us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, tell me something about yourself that you think people may not know. Something that I cannot figure out from LinkedIn.
What you can't get from LinkedIn? Yeah, LinkedIn talks all about the happy stories, all the successes that we all go through. Yeah, maybe a few things that come to mind. People assume, or vendors, when they talk to CIOs, they assume that we are listening to everything that they're saying while we are thinking about the number of zeros that we need them to take off in the code. That's one. The other thing that comes to me is, having a straight face when an employee comes to tell you why they clicked on the phishing link after going through 6 security trainings. And then when you are explaining to your boss for making a simple update that needs to be put in system, why you need to redesign the entire architecture of your enterprise. So I think those are things that you probably don't know, but CIOs are very trained and talented to get those things done.
Yeah, I always keep hearing that. Yeah, we can make this change, but we have to refactor our code base for that. Excellent, excellent. So, I don't know how many of you know this, right? Prakash was most recently the CIO of Autodesk, which is in the CAD space, about machines, designing them, architecting them. And then a month and a half back or so, Prakash moved to UKG and is now the CIO of UKG, one of the largest people tech, HR tech company in the world. So you went from managing machines to managing humans. Like, what made you make that shift?
Yeah, no, I think, see, as Ash mentioned, I was at Autodesk for 20 years, had 15 different roles, had a rewarding career, very humble to have had many shifts and learned through the chapter of growth at Autodesk. And UKG, for those who don't know, UKG is in the human capital management, HCM space, workforce management. Our purpose is people, and it's all about people, payroll services, talent management, and time management also for all the talent. So it's more about how do we really ensure organizations become great places to work by managing their talent and people. And as you know, every organization in the planet with this new era of agentic AI and AI, I mean, it took 5 minutes for us to use the AI word today. So I think everybody's transforming themselves. So I felt there was a huge opportunity in the HCM space to disrupt. And Jen Morgan, who was pulling the team together, she's the CEO of the company, really her drive and energy attracted me to the company in their growth journey and transformation, and how we can make an impact to not only white-collar folks, it's also all the frontline workers. How can we modernize their experiences when they're in workplace? I think it's a huge opportunity, and it is prime time for disruption. And I see myself as a change agent. And so the opportunity was good, and it's at any change that we have led, while you spend a lot of time in tech, being a CIO and the technologist, it's all about people management and bringing people along in the change, which is actually the toughest part of any job. And if a company is trying to help every other organization on the planet to do that, I felt like I'm almost like the customer zero within this company to really take that change managed champion and to really become that reference architecture where we can take it to every other organization in the planet. So that was the driver for me when I got excited about this. And I can tell you, my excitement has only gone threefold in the last 6 weeks that I've been in the company.
Excellent. So now I'm not going to waste another 5 minutes to not talk about AI, right? So you talked about all the changes that you're trying to bring in over there, right? and especially at UKG, right, trying to transform yourself with the AI and bringing AI, right? So what do you see is the role of AI in the world of HR from your vantage point?
Yeah, I think, see, every organization, as I mentioned, is really looking at the skills that they have today and the skills of the future. And when I talk about skills of the future, it's not about just skills of the human beings or human workforce. It's also the agents that we expect to have along with humans. How we collaborate, how we coexist, how we can be 10x more productive and do more interesting things. At least if you take a decade or two ago, we always boxed humans in certain skill sets so that they become specialists in a particular domain or area that's all you could do. But I think we are entering an era where that will be actually disrupted, which means in one given lifetime, you could do many roles if needed, and also with augmenting along with AI, you could be more powerful and impactful in how we do. It's not about doing it fast. I think it's also being effective. And I feel like HR and technology leaders have to really work together to create more excitement to the workforce of what is out there and how do we bring everybody along. Because in any organization, there are these first 10 to 20% of the people who will lean in, get excited for every single thing that you're trying to do, and come forward. But the other 80% require that, whether you call it a push or a pull, they need that gamification or effort to bring them along. I think HR will play a big, significant role. And we keep hearing about these roles going away, that role's going away, but it's more about what are those skill sets and the level of adaptability that we are expecting for all of us to have. How do we bring that muscle? It's not about learning a particular tech. It's more about how quickly you can adapt and how quickly you can all coexist with a digital assistant that probably will be along with you, will continuously learn about you, learn about your company, and then HR will play a significant role in ensuring that digital assistant has all the culture values of what we want employees to carry, so that each digital assistant also has a filter that understands about what the company values are, and when they interact with you and with others and collaborate, it becomes seamless. So it's not only culture values for human beings, it's also the agents that we are putting in. So I think it's, again, an era where there is so much thought process need to be put in place with HR, tech, as well as the internal employee experience and tech leaders to really bring everybody along.
So actually, that's very fascinating, right? So let me try to recap kind of a thing, or at least what I gathered from you, right? As you're talking about agents and bring those agents in your organization, what about the cultural values associated with those agents? Like whose responsibility, whose job is to think about that? And the second thing you mentioned over here, and for record, I didn't ask Prakash to say this, but the way you brought in the digital assistant part, right? And yesterday we talked about the digital twin part of each employee. How these things are going to play a role. How the future of the organization is each human maybe having their own twin, their assistant, right? Who is helping them, enabling them, guiding them to do better on an everyday basis. So, but let's dig in a bit more over there. So we started by talking about the role of AI in HR, skills understanding, skills of the future. But let's flip it, right? What is the role of HR in the world of AI? Like, in the next session, we will hear from companies, startups that are building agents for the sales team, for the customer success team, for the support team, and so on, right? What role HR can play? I mean, is it the office of CIO? Is it the office of CHR? Is there a partnership between the two to see what changes should come in the organization, what tools we should bring in, how we should bring in?
Yeah, see, I think if you look at within HR organization, what I've seen is they play a horizontal role across the company. It's not just about an IT, CIO, and HR partnership, while that has to be stronger in this era, but they create some level of synergies across the company. They create job families. How do we pay accordingly to all employees? What roles, who plays, what levels, and other things? All of that is getting disrupted now. So they have a significant role in, because when we talk about agents, it's not about agents coming into an IT workforce. We're talking about agents in every persona of a employee within a company. I'm talking about sales having a specific group of agents, finance having some of those things, marketing having. So which means every organization is getting disrupted. So HR has a significant role in really bringing that kind of standardization as well, so that each one doesn't think differently. They'll play a big role bringing everybody along. Managers need different coaching, like how to manage in this era of agents and humans. And then what does it look like? So all of those things require some level of governance and structure, which we will look for HR leaders to really help us, because as you know, the reason of all of those HR leaders is really putting humans first.
Yeah.
And technology next. And we are talking about the change that we are using or introducing to all humans in workforce using tech. So that's why I feel like it is very, very important for HR to play a significant role alongside of these technology leaders in bringing everybody forward.
No, I mean, and have you seen resistance in that? Like,
So
what has worked well or not in your experience?
See, for me, right, it all comes down to the tone from top down. Some of these shifts, I personally feel like you can't let bottoms up decide whether we should pick or each team decide. This has to be company-wide, organization-wide decisions. These are like driven from top down. These are charters that we tell, like I think it's a non-negotiable. In my opinion, if you are still debating, should we leverage AI or not, or is it going to stay or not, I'm like, you're going to be left behind. This is a personal viewpoint. I strongly believe if people are still debating, or I hope nobody is debating that, and I'm sure people who are here are not going to be debating because you're in an AI conference, but I think that's the key thing. It has to be top down, and it has to be very clear, so that there is not a whole dialogue that is needed. I think a whole dialogue is on change management. How do we go to the next phase, and how quickly can we go there?
So what I'm hearing a lot is not that people are no longer debating, from what my sense is, that whether we should have AI or not. I think that is now accepted, right? That we are going to bring AI in. And some organizations are moving really fast, but some of them are trying to figure it out when, not necessarily. The question is not if, but when. And last week when we were talking, right, you mentioned that how just few weeks in, you are like, I don't have time to waste over here. I need to bring all these things in now. So let's say I'm going through Workday implementation cycle, which is going to take 2 years. Should I wait for 2 years before rolling out AI, or do I need to do it now? And how should I think about it?
I mean, first of all, you have to move fast. Think big and start small, like experimentation, leaning in and giving guardrails to your teams, what's okay, what's not okay, because you also want to make sure that you are not unintentionally causing any privacy, security issues to your customers or employees. That's where I think you need to create some guardrails. I call it playground, so that people can lean in and start playing. And it should also be okay to have a list of things where we share, oh, this was the intent of what we're trying to do and what we got out of it. And these are things that didn't work as we wanted because it was not driving the outcome, and we're going to turn it off. I think the great thing with all of this is it doesn't take too long. These are not like some of these ERP implementations where you're talking about 36 months or 24 months to realize the value. You can get to know things in 2-3 weeks or 2 sprints, and then you can iterate. You can retrain, modify, leverage. I think you need to have that adaptability muscle, and have the true muzzle of it's okay to experiment, and if some things doesn't work out, you should have a culture value of you're not going to punish people who are doing that. Then people will be courageous to lean in. I think so. That's the big thing. You cannot have, and also we cannot be a bottleneck. That's the reason I'm asking about playgrounds. You cannot also have one single team across the company decide or implement AI for everybody. You have to have certain guardrails, swim lanes, governance, and super users that can quickly learn and then expand this. I have this concept of eye to eye, idea to implementation, and also P2P, like playground to production. You will do a lot of things in playground, and once you start seeing value, you really quickly decide if we want to scale and take it to production. Then it goes through certain filters, certain guardrails, and safeguards so that you're scaling it the right way. But you need to move fast. It cannot be having steercos, big decision committees for every single thing. You need to have light governance vehicles, but you need to move fast.
Do you need to wait for AI to get perfect?
No, not at all. And probably, see, that's the other mistake that probably we should learn from this whole data thing too. Everybody wants data to be perfect. It'll never be. And I know AI relies a lot on data. And going through all of this transformation, I think you need to also set the right expectation that it is never going to be perfect. And to start off with, it will not be, but it will get better. The more data sets you start having, it will start getting better and better, and it will also start learning as you coach. It actually learns much better than us. So if we can continue to play with it, and that's why that playground concept, I think it has a huge impact.
So I think that's very fascinating, right? Because the way I look at it is, I mean, they are regular software. In the software world, we are designing these machines, effectively computer systems, right? And they're expected to be perfect. So consistently, for the same input, I want the same output. Humans never do the same thing. If I ask you the same question first time, Prakash, what are you excited about? You might give me one answer. Second time, you might give me third answer. Fourth time, you will give me fourth answer. By fifth or sixth, you will be like, I should just get lost over here. You are wasting my time. I've answered this question too many times, right? Humans have a different behavior every time you ask. As we are entering the world of AI is going to be different. It's not going to be perfect. But the good news is that while we are waiting for AGI and all kind of debates going on over there, in many axes, AI is already better than us. So I always say that let's not wait for perfection. AI is not magic, but it can really help you achieve great outcomes. So,
yeah, no, I think humans are really good at overcomplicating simple problems and oversimplifying complex problems. So my job is always very complicated for me. Your job is always very simple for me. So I expect perfection from you, but I'll have 1,000 reasons why I cannot be perfect.
I am stealing that quote.
So I think that's how we are trained, which means you come up with 1,000 reasons why you are not perfect or why you said what, but we don't have that kind of mentality, leave alone to machines, to other humans too. And that's something we need to get away as we start doing more and more agent stuff. They are going to be our peers, they are going to augment, they're going to be our buddies. And so we need to start building that to take most value.
So let me ask you a very controversial question.
Sure.
You're a CIO technology person in an HR company. Every time I talk to a technologist, they say humans are problems. Only if I could work with machines instead of humans, life will be so much easier. I don't know if you have heard that, but most software engineers will say that. If you talk to HR folks, right, they'll be like, yes, let's enable people, empower them. People are going to solve all the problems for us. Where do you stand in this debate?
See, I think the fun part is really helping all those humans understand and bringing them along. The reasons humans are different is we're all different from each other. And if you are a people leader and if you understand and empathize that and put yourselves in other shoes, actually it's fascinating to work with folks. And if you look at whether you take the whole concept of technology or machines, irrespective of whichever company you go, it operates very similarly. For me, while I'm a technologist, that's the boring part of the job. There's nothing new. You could do the same thing in any place. But as you change companies or roles or teams, you get to interact with a lot of new people. That gives a lot of energy that I thrive on. So for me, I think it's a balance, but it is more about how do we tap into people, and it cannot be with one recipe. That's the other thing. There is no one magic wand on how to bring everybody. You have to decide for your organization, and you're based on your culture, but you all have to figure out, and that's the fun part in everybody's journey. Every organization will go through this, and everybody will have some slight nuances, but that's the fun part of what they do.
No, absolutely. I think the change that we are going in our society, right? On one hand, people talk about this is not the first time. We had the agricultural revolution, we have the industrial revolution, we have the digital revolution, right? So maybe AI revolution is just one of the many. But on the other hand, what's your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. See, in our like just think about switch off our work organizations for a minute. Our personal lives, we didn't have any huge change management. We quickly adapt. Any new thing that comes, that goes viral, we are able to adapt. The whole consumerization that has happened in our personal lives, there was not a big change agents or some coaches that came to us. We quickly, because as long as it is frictionless, it gets me what I need and gets the outcome that I'm looking for, people quickly jump into it. I think that muscle also has developed in overall all the population across the planet. I think that's why it's exciting now compared to what it was eras ago, because the personal lives were also not so simple as it feels now. Like we can think about ourselves 20 years ago for planning things and how long things took, but now people take it for like it's instantaneous, whatever we want.
And actually, believe it or not, 20 years back, I used to have a lot more hairs.
Yeah, so I think that's why I'm also very optimistic and positive that in organizations, bringing people along in this change is going to be, while always people change is the tougher part, it's going to be much easier than other changes because people's personal lives are also changing.
So now that we are almost at time, right? One last question on this, especially you brought in the personal stuff, right? What is one AI application that you cannot live without in your personal life?
Personal life, yeah, no, I use Claude a lot for everything that I do, and when I put some material together, I leverage that. Claude, I mean, it used to be ChatGPT, but I've shifted now. And then I'm also a big fan of GitHub Copilot. That helps me generate code or test few things very quickly. Napkin.ai, if you have not used, like put a lot of text and then put it into workflows and diagrams very quickly to have good concepts to explain to executives. Previously, it took a big teams to do some of these things for me, but I play around with a lot of tools. I mean, this is one of those era where I feel like I have this FIFO. I never had this FIFO for the last 20, 30 years, like fear of missing out. But I think this is one of those times where I have that because it is changing so fast. But I try to learn and use different things to get familiarized. I'm not attached to any of them. If something else is better, I'll start jumping into that.
So that was amazing.
Thank you.
So thank you, Prakash. And I know Prakash landed at 2 a.m. last night. So thank you for up in the morning.
Thank you.
And we talked about instead of doing fireside chat, let's do the real coffee with Kota. So thank you, Prakash, for that.
Thank you.
Big round of applause. Thank you.